Hey agents, Agent KCG here, and today we're going to listen to Jim Walsh talk about what he does when he has a buyer presentation. This specific presentation is really good for first-time buyers. If you have any questions, comment below. If you find this video or these types of videos helpful, definitely hit the subscribe button and the like button, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you get notified anytime I post a video. Now here's Jim.
I'm Jim, and my background is education. I was a classroom school teacher for many years. I went to the dark side, became a high school administrator, kicked kids out of school for a living. I was a high school athletic director in charge of 35 athletic teams at the high school. And then the state made a mistake because I had taught at Scottsdale Mesa and Paradise Valley community colleges for so many years. On the side while I was in public education, I got a pay raise to quit. So what does everyone do when they say that they never have to work again? Either become a realtor or they sell everything and move to Hawaii and become a beach bum. So that's what I did for 8 years. So I moved to Hawaii, became a beach bum for 8 years. I did that. Got a job part-time as a recruiter for Grand Canyon University. I put kids back into school for a living. So I did that for a while, and then came back to Arizona, went through real estate school, and that was about 5 or 6 years ago. So that's my background, and I approach things very much from that education standpoint. So if there's any one small thing that you can get from what I'm going to say today, that's awesome. If you can walk away with just one thing from any training, you're golden. So the things that I do today, when I talk about what I do with buyers, make it yourself. Just because I say things a certain way doesn't mean that that's the way to say them. It has to be authentic with you. It has to flow naturally from you, because if it doesn't, people will see right through it in a heartbeat. You do anything out there to create some sort of a communication with a client. This is how to funnel them in if you can set that meeting so that they walk out and they're going to be your client. So this is only that gap between if you can set a meeting with a person and get them to walk out from your meeting and you're going to own them. They're going to be your client. So that's what I teach right here. Only that little gap between setting up the meeting and then after the meeting, they're yours. And you can close that gap. How you get them is up to you. Okay, and there's a lot of people with great resources. I definitely want to learn a lot more about that. My thing is I don't get enough of them, but if I get them, I own them. You know, I just don't get them enough. And I want to take some classes from some of you guys. So everybody likes to have the right answer. Have you guys ever taken a class where you are out, there's a class out there, and I'm just going to use this example in education. Someone says, so what's the most important quality to have if you're a teacher? What's the most important thing? And there's always someone that raises their hand and goes, compassion. Good, but no. Anybody else? Are you going to raise your hand after someone who came up with a great answer got shot down? You don't. People love to have the right answers. So when I talk to people to get them to come in and meet with me, people love to have the right answer. So are you from Arizona? No. Perfect. You know, I'm from here. I'm going to share with you all kinds of knowledge. Have you ever owned a home before? Yes. Awesome. Then you already know the value of home ownership, right? Have you ever owned a home before? Never. Perfect. I love this because I'm going to walk you through this whole home buying process all the way from the beginning. Have you ever, are you pre-qualified? Yes. Awesome. Are you pre-qualified? No. Perfect. Everybody loves to have the right answer. So if you can get them to come in and meet with you, and I usually try and throw some sort of a hook, like, you know, it's really important that we just sit down and talk. And, you know, there's a lot of people that don't realize that there are 3 different points of negotiating in the real estate transaction. And they kind of go, wow, I didn't know that. You know, there's a lot of people that don't realize that the down payment in real estate comes at the end of the transaction, not at the beginning. And they kind of go, wow, I didn't realize that. So if we can throw in something that sort of hooks them, in education, we do that all the time, okay? We throw in something like, today, I used to go off on a quick little tangent. I used to tell kids, today we're gonna go look at stars with the telescopes. Okay. I would set up the telescopes, they'd look at the flag across the parking lot and see the stars on the flag. But I got them all interested on the fact that they were gonna look through telescopes and see stars today, even though it was in the middle of the day. Well, in real estate, we want to have some sort of a hook that gets them to come in and meet with us. So when we can set up that meeting and they walk in, one of the things that I do, I once bought a place over in Hawaii, and when I walked into the closing, on the door, they had something like, this is one I made up last week for a couple clients that came in. They had it on a sheet of paper, and this was for Christian and Drew. But I put that, we can reserve these little rooms over here, and I put that sheet of paper on there that says, welcome Christian and Drew. They really liked that. They felt special. And when they walk in, I thank them for coming in and taking the time to understand how to buy real estate. What's the most important thing is that they feel comfortable and they feel good about this, okay? And that's what I try and do. So that's one of the things that I do is I make up a sheet and I have their name on it and I have it on the door. So when they open up the door and they walk in and I've already got my stuff pretty much set up, they see that I've reserved them a room and that they're important, okay? It's just a little thing, but sometimes it's the little things that add up that make a difference. Okay, so I sit down with them. And then if they've never owned a home before, I let them know, look, I want to make sure that you understand the benefits of purchasing a house. If they've never owned a home before, and they're thinking they're not quite, and this all depends. Sometimes I go into this little piece right here, and sometimes I don't, depending on the client. But one of the things that I do when I talk about rent versus buying, then I do this little stick figure thing. I do a lot of stick figures because I suck at art. Okay, so I do this little stick figure and I say rent and buy. So let's just say you're gonna buy, let's just make up an easy number, a $200,000 home. You can't buy $200,000 homes anymore, but let's just say you could. So if you bought a $200,000 home, or rather rent a $200,000 home, you're looking at about $1,500 a month in rent to rent a $200,000 home. That's about what it costs. Now, if you were to purchase a $200,000 home, you're looking at about the same payment per month on a purchase. So maybe $1,000, let me get it. Okay. Maybe $1,500 on a purchase versus a rent. And I tell them that, out of their payment, if this is a bar graph, out of their payment, a little bit of this payment right here is going to go toward paying down on the house, but it's not very much. It's only going to be about $200 is going to go toward paying down their house out of their $1,500 payment, okay? But most of this is going to be interest. And the nice thing, and we know this from real estate school, we can't give tax advice to anybody, okay? We cannot do that as real estate agents. But I tell them that check into it because most people get a tax advantage by writing off the interest. And then I say, let's just say somebody makes $50,000 a year. If you make $50,000 a year, and if somebody's in the 25% tax bracket, if they are in the 25% tax bracket, I say, is that maybe a tax bracket? Maybe you're in, and a lot of times they will say yes. And then I say, okay, so if you're in the 25% tax bracket, you're paying about $12,500 in taxes, because that's 25% of the 50. Now, what if you could make the 50, but only pay taxes on 40,000. What's 25% of 40,000? It's only $10,000. You see, by writing off the interest and taxes and some of these HOAs and some of the stuff that your tax advisor may be able to help you with, oftentimes you can save about $2,500 a year as a tax advantage. But double check with your tax advisor on this to make sure. So that's the way I do that. And I say, well, what does this come out monthly? Because we know we're saving about $200 a month. Or rather, we're increasing our net worth because we're paying down our mortgage, $200 a month. We divide this out by 12. Anybody do that math real quick in their head?
250.
Good enough, I'll take your word. $250 a month as an advantage from your taxes. Okay, that's right. Now, about $250 a month, we get a tax advantage because we own the home. But the real money comes from the fact that in our market currently, and I cannot predict the future, but history has told us that homes are going up, and most experts are projecting that homes will continue to go up, and they're going up about $6,000 a year, okay? On a $200,000 home, maybe more. But even at $6,000 a year, which is very conservative, that's only 3%. At $6,000, that still is that you've got an advantage of $500 a month that your home is going up. Most people make a lot more than that. The clients I have right now, I'll be showing homes this weekend, they over the last 4 years have made payments of $80,000. When they sell their house, they will walk away with $70,000 in their pocket. So what did it cost them? $10,000 for 4 years. That's a heck of a lot better than $1,500 a month for 4 years. So it's not a question of whether or not you can afford to buy a home. And I thank them for coming in at this point. I say, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and understand that it's not a question of whether or not you can afford to buy a home. It's the comment, you can't afford to not own a home. Not owning a home, you probably don't have that much extra money that you can afford to throw it away. Home ownership is where it's at. So thank you for coming in and understanding the process. That's how I set the meeting. Now, I was a little bit more long-winded with you guys than I am with them, but it gives you enough material that maybe you could grab one little thing that I just said and put it into practice for yourselves, okay? But I like the comment, it's not a question of whether or not you can afford to buy a home. It's the comment, you can't afford to not buy a home because you're throwing this away. Because take a look at right here, most of that payment you're getting back, and that's conservative, your home going up only 3%. Most projections are a lot higher. Okay, so I start with that if they've never owned a home and they're a first-time home buyer. Does that help? Okay, so the next thing is, I say, okay, whether I've had to go through this portion or not, then what I do is I've got a folder like this. And what's really nice about being on KP Elite team is the fact that they make these things for us. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. They give us the folders. I mean, I've had to go to all kinds of links to try and get something like this put together. And it's a pain in the, I don't know what I'm getting, but it's a pain in the ass to do it without the support of a team like this. So the nice thing is KP gets us this stuff for free, and they already got it all ready for us. So you have a last minute meeting, just grab one of these. So, and they're over in Garrett's office in the little thing there. And so what I tell them is, have you talked to a lender? And remember, whatever answer they get, yes, no, whatever, it's the right answer. Perfect, that's awesome. That's great. So whatever answer they give you is that. And then I pull out of this folder right here, I pull out a pre-qualification. And I don't go over anything on the pre-qualification. All I tell them is the lender will give us a pre-qualification. Now, if they've already arranged their financing, that's great. If not, I'm going to go off on a little tangent right now. If not, I always let a lender know that I've got a meeting with a client. And if I call you, answer your phone. Don't let it go to voicemail. I don't want a round robin thing. I want to know who I'm calling if I can. I want to know that you're going to answer the phone. So I've got a meeting at 6 p.m. tonight, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but answer your phone between 6 and 7:30 p.m. if I call you. Because oftentimes I will come up with a question. I'll get to talk to them about their finances, and I'll find out, oh, so do you make less than $100,000 a year between both of you guys? No, I make more than 100. Is some of it based on commission or anything? Well, yeah. You still might qualify for a grant. I don't know if so they're always changing the rules. I'm not sure if commission is going to be counted or not. Let me find out. And I call the lender, and I've got the question. I don't put them on the phone with the lender. I call the lender because I found a reason to call the lender with a question that I have. And I call the lender and I say, hey, hey, how you doing? Yeah, so I was wondering, have the limits changed on this, or what is the maximum house purchase? I thought it changed last week. What's the newest one? So whatever question I have, I call the lender and I do it. I go, okay, perfect. Oh, awesome. Here, let me just put you on speakerphone. And I put them on speakerphone right there. Then I go, hey, I'm here speaking with Christian and Drew. They're first-time home buyers. They were talking about the grant programs. Would you just explain that really, really quick? And I tell the lender, I don't want a long explanation. This is only for the lender and the client to exchange info. And he says, well, yeah, there's a lot of different, lender will usually say something like this. There's a lot of different programs. What I want you to do is give me your email address, and I'm going to set up a time when we can talk, because you might qualify for a few different programs. And then they just switch information. And I go, that's perfect. So if they want to come in and meet with you, they can probably do that. So when you set up that meeting with them, let me know, because I want to be there too. And I go to the lender's office with them and meet with them, and I hang up the phone. That phone call is never more than 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. It's only an exchange of info. It's not for any details, okay? So I do that. Then I just say, so a lender will give us a pre-qualification. You see, when we're out looking at homes, we want to make sure that you're not only a willing buyer, but you're an able buyer. So we want to make sure we're shopping for homes in the right price point with a payment that you're comfortable based on the program that you're going to be doing. So the first thing is, we've got to set up a meeting with, let's just say it was Ben. We got to set up a meeting with Ben. We want to, we'll figure this out later, but he'll give us a letter that says how much we can qualify for. The Realtor Code of Ethics, and I will not break any rules or laws. Is that fair enough? And they usually say yes. And then I say, when I'm out showing you homes, if you tell me that that you want to be in a particular area based on a geographic location, I can do that. But if you were to ask me to show you homes near people of a certain race, religion, ethnicity, anything like that, I can't do it. So you'll just, at one point, you're going to have to sign this document that says, I'm going to follow the Realtor Code of Ethics. And when I'm out showing you homes, I can show you homes that either I have listed personally, somebody from my brokerage has listed, or any other real estate agent in the state of Arizona. Does that sound good? And as long as we're getting that verbal, yes, that sounds good, subconsciously, they're making a commitment to us as an agent. We get them saying yes. So I'm going to follow the Realtor Code of Ethics when I'm out showing you homes. Is that okay with you? They say yes. They're already committing to the fact that I'm going to be showing you homes, and when I do it, I'm going to follow the Realtor Code of Ethics. They're already saying yes. And it's an easy yes to get them to say, to commit to. That's something I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the Realtor Code of Ethics. Perfect. Yes, do that. Nobody can argue that. Like, no, I want you to break the rules. They can't say that. They're already committing. Okay? So, another one with the prequal. So, when we know that, when we have that prequal, I want to make sure that even if you can qualify for more and you don't want to spend that much, I want to make sure I'm sending that we're looking at homes that are going to have a payment that you're comfortable with. Does that sound good to you? They say yes. We want those yeses coming in. The more yeses we have coming in, they're already committing to us. They're not signing up by our broker yet. They're not doing any of that. But you know what? I'm their agent. I am. I'm already going to be showing them homes. I'm already doing those things. And they just kind of did that. So that's what I talk about with this one. Then I tell them, and we're going to see a bunch of other disclosures, and all I have to do is give you this big long document with all kinds of stuff in there. So if you want to know about how they calculate square footage or septic tanks or roofs, all this other stuff, I'm going to give you this document, and all you have to do on the very last page is sign that I gave it to you. I have to present this information to you. So if you want to look up crime rates or school districts or roof rats or scorpions or bed bugs or flood zones, I have to provide you a way to do it, okay? And they're like, okay. So that's all I do with that one. So that one only takes a couple seconds. So next one, I say, okay, now this is where you're going to really learn how to buy a home. And what I do is I go over the purchase contract with them. And I know a lot of agents don't do that, but in my opinion, if you can if they're going to take the time to come in and sit down and meet with us, it makes us understand the purchase process much better, and them also. So I say, don't worry about this first page. Okay, so when we find that right house and we make an offer, you don't have to write up any of this stuff. I'm going to do everything for you. Does that sound good? What do you think they say? Yes. They say yes. So I'm already telling them that I'm going to be the one making an offer for them. I'm assuming the sale. And I don't know anything about sales because remember, I came from education. But one thing I do know is if you assume it, they will too. So if you assume the sale, they're going to assume it also. So you just take ownership, you take charge. Okay, so you don't have to worry about filling anything out, but I'm not going to fill out anything without your permission. Does that sound okay with you? They're like, yes, they like that. So I say, okay, this will have your name in it, and that'll be the person. We want to make sure it has a legal description, but don't worry, I'm going to do all this for you. And then earnest money. Earnest money is money that's just going to hold this property until we decide that we're moving forward on the purchase. It's kind of like if my wife, this is the analogy that I use, it's kind of like if my wife goes shopping and she finds this great purse that she really wants for a wedding or something, and she says, oh, I really like it, but you take it off the shelf and put it over here. Because remember, we know this as agents, but they're buyers that maybe bought a home 6 months ago, maybe 6 years ago, maybe never. And they forget all of the earnest money stuff. So I say the earnest money is what holds the house. Just like if my wife takes the purse and she puts $5 on it and they put it in the back room and say, we'll hold it for 2 days. If you don't come back within the 2 days, they put the purse back out on the shelf and they keep the $5. If you come in within the 2 days and you go, I don't want the house, I don't want the purse, give me my $5 back, they will, right? Or if you decide to buy the purse, they will apply that $5 toward the purchase, so instead of paying $50, you only pay $45. I wish my wife's purses were $45. Okay, I know. Okay. I say, and you probably want to know, like, what is that earnest money number? And I say, there isn't a rule or a law with earnest money. A general rule that I like to use is, what is it going to cost that if they're making a payment on the house? What is it going to take that homeowner to maintain that house for a month while we're in the process of purchasing the house? A $200,000 house, maybe $1,000, maybe $1,200, maybe a $400,000 house, maybe $2,000. But think about it yourself. If you were selling your house and someone said, I want to come in and buy it, and you took it off the market, would you do it for $5? Probably not, would you? No. So it has to be a reasonable amount. Do you have money already saved up for the earnest money? And because I made this mistake one time, and the person, I just assumed they had it, and I found out later on they didn't. And they couldn't even come up with the earnest money. And I made the argument, okay, we got to give the earnest money. He knew what the earnest money would be, but I didn't confirm that he had the earnest money. So that was a fail forward thing back a few years ago. Whatever words you use, but it's an important thing for a buyer to understand, is the concept of earnest money. Then I tell them, now, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to let you know all the way up to where you can get your earnest money back without question for virtually any reason. And if we're going to get to that point where if you move forward in the transaction and your earnest money becomes in jeopardy, I'm going to let you know. Does that sound good? They always say, yes, that sounds good. And once again, they're committing to me because I'm going to protect their earnest money. Okay, and let them know where they're at in the process. So I cover earnest money with them. Then I tell them that, when we buy the house, and you'll understand why in a little bit, but when we buy the house, it's going to usually take at least 30 days, sometimes a little bit longer, for us to what we call close on the house. Have you heard of closing on a house? Most people have. Some people haven't. So I say, closing on a house is 3 steps. This is really important for us as agents to tell people, because we just assume, we're going to close. But we don't tell them that closing is 3 things. We don't tell them that it's signing, funding, and recording. And I tell them that first meeting, I say, closing on a house in a great day, that happens all the same day. We can sign at 9 o'clock in the morning. They transfer the money by noon. But I can't give you the keys until it records down at the county, okay? So it has to be recorded before I can give you the keys. That's why I like to pick a day in the middle of the week in case there's a little bit of a lag time. But if we don't sign until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just be prepared that you won't get the keys probably till the next business day, okay? I say, don't worry, you're gonna forget this, but I'm gonna be reminding you. How do you like me to remind you? Do you like me just to call you, or do you like to have texts or emails? If you can get them to commit that way, once again, they're committing to you. And this whole presentation isn't just what we're doing. And Caroline asked, am I going to cover the what, but also the why? And this is the why. Excuse me. Because if they are committing to you along the way, by the time that you walk out, you own them. Okay? You're their agent. And that's what this meeting is really all about. Okay, so then I say, you might see a whole bunch of other disclosures, like over here, the property might have things like HOAs, or if you bought a horse property and it has irrigation, then you're going to see extra documents, but don't worry, I take care of all that stuff for you. So I don't go into that stuff. So then I tell them that when I'm out showing you homes, you're probably, do you hear that? When I'm out showing you homes, I assumed the sale right there. I say that. So when I'm out showing you homes, you're going to wonder what things stay in the house and what things don't. And I'm going to be covering that. So if you have any questions, let me know. Typical things, a microwave sitting on the counter doesn't. A microwave built in does. A garage shelving unit sitting on the floor does not, but built-in shelves do. So I'll cover all that with you when we're out looking at homes, okay? And I do that. Now, generally, the washer, dryer, and refrigerator don't stay in the property unless we negotiate that in. Do you need a washer, dryer, or refrigerator? And if they say no, perfect. Once again, the right answer. Perfect. I won't worry about negotiating that in. Do you need a washer or dryer, refrigerator? Yes, I do. I don't have one. Perfect. I'm gonna do everything I can to negotiate those items into your contract, okay? What are they gonna say, no? They're saying yes. I'm already telling them now I'm negotiating in their behalf. Okay, so then I kind of come down here and I don't worry about much of this other stuff right here. And then I come down and I say, now, with a contract, I don't hold your money. I don't do anything with the money. There's a title company. Have you heard of a title company? Yes, no, whatever the answer is. Okay, great. Once again, they got the right answer. So a title company is sort of in the middle. And the title company is gonna make sure that the person who says that they own the property really owns the property. They're gonna make sure if it had a pool that the guy that put in the pool doesn't have a lien against the property and still needs to be paid, that's gonna come back to bite you. They wanna make sure that there are no HOA violations. They wanna make sure that the HOA is paid up. They wanna make sure that the guy who's selling the house, there isn't somebody in the background thinking they actually inherited the house from Grandpa George 10 years ago because it was in the will. So we want to make sure that the seller of the property is able to sell the property and that the property is available to be sold under the terms that I'm negotiating for you. Once again, I assumed the sale. All throughout this whole thing, I'm assuming the sale. Okay? However you assume the sale, use your own words. As the buyer, technically we get to pick the title company, and I've got a great title company that does a wonderful job and they're very accommodating that I like to use. But if you have your own title company, let me know. Do you think anybody has their own title company other than the phone call you had today? Does anybody generally have their own title company? No. Generally not. Okay, I'm going to take care of all that for you, okay? Sometimes to negotiate the deal, we have to use a different company. But in my opinion, they all have to follow the basic rules anyway on title companies, so it'll be okay. So we'll do that. Now, we're going to come down here to, if we buy a home that is built before 1978, there's the possibility it has lead-based paint. So are you interested in older homes or newer homes? And then I can talk to them a little bit about that if I want to. Otherwise, I just let them know that if you select a home that is built before 1978, you'll have to sign a document knowing that it has the possibility of lead-based paint. If that's important to you, you will have to do that research and do your own test. That's up to you. But we'll have to give you a document on the hazards of lead-based paint for any home built before 1978, whether it has it or not. And I'll find out if it has a water or sewer. So I fill out all this stuff for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. If it has a swimming pool barrier, you're gonna follow all of those rules, all of that stuff. Now, I say this, you don't have to, you guys all run your own businesses however you want. But one of the things that I do with my clients is I tell them, I will not let you purchase a house without a home warranty. It won't happen. 100% of my clients that get into a house get a home warranty. And if I cannot get the seller to pay for that home warranty, I will pay for it myself. So one of the things that I personally do when I call up the other agent about the offer, I say, if you negotiate, do not negotiate that home warranty, because that's going to come out of my pocket, right? So I'm like, make sure you throw that in on if you're going to counter, you need to leave that in, okay? And they're usually pretty good about that. Have I had to pay for a couple home warranties out of commissions? Yes, but most of the time I don't. But what is this about? This is about our clients. So I tell them, I will not let you purchase a house without a home warranty. And if I can't get them to include one, I will buy one for you. You pay the service fee to come out, but you will not get a home, if you're my client, which you are, you will not buy a home without a home warranty. You like that? They all like it. You don't have to run your business that way. There are some agents that won't give away anything. I believe in giving away the farm, okay? So that's just me. But I tell them that. So we'll do a home warranty. Then I talk to them about, remember that earnest money? Do you remember that earnest money I mentioned before? You get that earnest money back in the first 10 days without question, because we're going to do an inspection on the home. You see, do you have an inspector already? They say no. Okay, fine. I've got somebody that I use that I trust. So I will arrange the inspector. We're going to do the inspection, and I'm going to be there with you when we go over this inspection, because I personally go to the inspection. Okay? So we're going to arrange an inspector. And for any reason in those first 10 days that you don't want to move forward in the house based on the inspection, we can ask for our earnest money back, and we get it back without question. We get our earnest money back without question in those first 10 days. So it's not that scary to make an offer, because we know we get our earnest money back. But remember, and I learned this after my first transaction, because I didn't tell my client this, but it's important to tell our clients that who pays for the inspector. Because if we don't, and we just go show homes, make an offer, there's the offer, and all of a sudden, well, we got to get an inspector. What do you mean I have to pay for it? It's important that they know who pays for what. So we're going to do I'm going to arrange an inspector. I will be at the inspection when the inspector goes over this with you. So you will pay for the inspector, and you will get that. You will take care of that. You're usually looking at $200 to $300, depending upon the type of unit, for an inspector to come out and inspect it. They'll give you a big report. And if you want to walk away, you've paid the inspector, but you get all the earnest money back in the first 10 days without question. Do you like that? Most people, yes. Okay, it's a little less scary about buying a home then and making an offer, knowing that you get your earnest money back and you can walk away and all it cost you was the inspection. So we want to make sure that we're moving forward on homes that we truly want. Okay, so then after the inspection, then what we're going to do is we're going to get an appraisal. And we won't order that appraisal until after the inspection. So the appraisal works like this. Now, when I meet with clients, I'm sitting at a table and I've got this on paper. So I always have a few sheets of blank paper with me, okay? In this little thing, so I can do my stupid little house thing over here. And I can also do when I talk about the appraisal. So let's just say it's a $200,000 house. An independent appraiser that's assigned to do the appraisal. I don't get to pick the appraiser. You can't pick the appraiser. The seller can't pick it. The seller's agent can't pick it. It just comes in this system that I don't really understand very well, but they're assigned to it. So nobody can have an appraiser in their pocket. So I say, okay, now, if it comes in at 205, great. You know what? That seller cannot raise the price to 205. You get it at the negotiated price of 200. So even if it appraises for more money, they can't raise the price. You like that? They're like, yeah. So if it comes in at 200, then at that point, perfect. The home is worth every penny you're paying for it, which is a great place to be. But if for some reason that appraiser didn't like something on the house and it comes in at 198, $2,000 under, then that's when I have to negotiate for you, and I have to do everything I can do to get them to lower the price. So you would even, in this scenario, if I negotiate this down, you're getting that home cheaper than you even thought you were going to be getting it. That's like an extra $2,000 you would get if I negotiate that down. Or if they won't do this, you do have the right to walk away because, and once again, Pete, the cash thing is different. We have to include that in, I understand that. But most of us have clients at this price point that aren't paying cash. So most of our clients will be financing their homes. So at this thing right here, if you wanted to walk away, you technically could, but most times this comes up. Rather they lower the price to the appraised price. Okay? And that's round 3 of negotiating. So round 1 is we're negotiating on the price when I make the offer for you. When I make the offer for you. Number 2, when we're asking them to do repairs on the house after the inspection. If we can't get them to do the repairs we want, we can walk away, get our earnest money back. And remember, it only costs you the cost of the price of the inspector. And the third one is the appraisal right here. So, you know, I've covered a lot of stuff, and don't worry, you're gonna forget all of this. This is what I tell them. You're gonna forget all of this. I don't want you even taking notes. But when we go through this process, this is all gonna come back to you. When I tell you that we have to get the inspector, when I tell you we're gonna do the appraisal, and I refresh your memory on this, it's gonna come right back. So don't worry about taking notes on it or anything, and I tell them that, okay? So that's the way that this works here. Now, so the last thing is closing costs. And I say, you know, it's always difficult to know about closing costs. But closing costs, let me show you how closing costs work. Because a lot of people work with clients and they never explain this to them. And their clients really don't understand what closing costs are and how it works. So this is what I do to explain what closing costs are. So let's just say this is a month. And then over here we've got another month and another month. You're always going to have a full month with no house payment. Okay? You're always going to have this portion, a full month with no house payment. Now, if you were to close on, let's just say, the 30th of the month here, then you would have a full month with no payment, and then you're going to get your first payment is going to come right here. Always your first payment will come right there. So you get a full month and maybe a day. So your closing costs will be less. It'd be nice if we could live in our home for free during this month, but we really don't. They're collecting all of that payment up front in the form of closing costs. They're also collecting taxes, HOA, and a bunch of other stuff along the way. So if we closed on the 15th, they would have to collect, you would go this period of time for the 15th. You would have this long of a time, a longer period of time with no payment. But what's going to happen to your closing costs? Your closing costs are going to be higher. What happens if you close on the 1st? Well, you're going to go almost 2 months, but your closing costs are going to be higher. So generally, as a rule, we like to kind of take a look when we estimate closing costs about the middle of the month. That way, when you talk to, let's just say it was Ben, when you talk to Ben over at OnQ Financial, and when he's talking about closing costs, he's going to estimate them. If you're wondering why he's estimating them, it's because we don't know how much of this stuff is going to have to be collected. But generally speaking, it's going to be maybe at that point, we'll kind of know our customers and the price point. Probably $5,000, $6,000. But here's the good thing. If you don't have it and you need me to negotiate that in, you need to tell me. We might have to come in with a stronger offer, but we can ask for some closing costs. So it's important for your lender, you and me to all be on the same page so I know how to negotiate for you if we have to ask for some closing costs. So we all have to be working together on a team on this. Okay, is that all right? And they're like usually yes. So that's what I do there. Then I say, okay, and then we'll give them to a certain time to respond back to the offer. If there's any other things, like if there's termites, we'll make sure it's treated and stuff. So then at this point, and I'm in my final 5 minutes of my presentation time. So what I do with my clients is I summarize everything for them. So just in education, a good lesson always has 3 sections to a good lesson. There's what's called the set up front, then there's the body of the lesson, and then they have lots of different names for it, but your wrap up or your summary or conclusion at the end of the lesson. That constitutes a good lesson. So that's what I incorporate when I meet with the clients. So I set the tone up front, thank them for coming in. You guys are going to learn how to do all of this. I set that real casual tone up front. That's called set. Then I go through the body of this. And what I do is I actually look at the papers, and I pull them out and I actually put them back into the folder for them. And I say, okay, well, the first thing, if you remember, we had a pre-qualification form. Your lender will give us this. You'll just have to sign it. So we got to make sure we get this taken care of with Ben. So make sure that you get with Ben or whoever it is. And we want to make sure we get this pre-qualification thing taken care of. You remember, you're going to see a whole bunch of documents over here. A lot of this stuff, just remember that the important thing on this one is that I'm going to follow the Realtor Code of Ethics, and that I'll be showing you homes. That I might have listed, another person from my brokerage or any other real estate agent in the state of Arizona has listed, okay? And I will always follow the Realtor Code of Ethics. Okay, I will do that. You're gonna probably see a bunch of other disclosures or just all kinds of information that you can look up on your own if you would like. And then on the purchase contract, let's just go through this really quick. I will fill everything out for you. Remember about the earnest money, that's the money that just holds the property. If there's something that you want to know if it stays in the house or not, just let me know. I'll take care of that for you. I know you said that you wanted or didn't want the refrigerator, washer, or dryer. I'll keep that in mind as we move forward. And down in here, if we have to ask for some seller concessions, then it's important for you and Ben and myself or whoever the loan officer is that you're using, know exactly what it is that we're going to have to ask for closing cost help. Here's the cool thing. Closing costs, we get to write those off on our taxes even if we got the other guy to pay for it. Pretty cool, huh? Helps us out on our taxes. Okay, the title company, we'll pick a good title company, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. We'll have our 10-day inspection period. Remember, it's 10 days. Do you get your earnest money back? Without question, during those 10 days, yes. You can say, I didn't like the chip in the paint right over here, I didn't like the nick in the wall. You get your earnest money back for any reason, okay? Then, after that, we'll negotiate those fixes. If we can't negotiate it the way that you want it, we don't come to terms, you get your earnest money back, but we have to take care of this within the first 10 days. Okay, then we're gonna order an appraisal. Remember how I told you how the appraisal works? It's really, it works out great no matter how. It comes in higher, perfect. Comes out at value, perfect. It comes in lower. We might get the house cheaper than we ever imagined, okay? So the appraisal thing isn't anything to be afraid of. You like the way I kind of spun that where all 3 scenarios are positive? Remember, I'm not gonna let you buy a house without a home warranty. Remember, if I can't get them to do it, I will do it. I will pay for it. And then I fill everything out in here, and then you'll just be signing. Have you ever done electronic signatures? Yes, no, are you comfortable with email and everything? You can sign from your phone. If they say no, fine, I'll walk out, I'll go with you. I've driven to Casa Grande to have them hand signed before. So I'll do all the paperwork for you. You don't have to worry about anything. So the first thing is we got to get you pre-qualified, and then we're going to start looking at homes. What works best for you for looking at homes? Do you like weekdays, weekends, evenings? You let me know, and I do this full time. I think it's important for us to always say we do this full time. I do this full time, and I work around your schedule. So what works best for you, for us, once we decide to start looking for homes? We get the information. I'm gonna set you up on a way for you to look at homes. Our KV Core is a great format. We can put them on there. They can start searching for homes like Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, except the difference is about our KV Core, we don't spam you and we don't sell your information to third parties like they do. You see, have you ever been on Realtor.com or Zillow? They all have. Yes. Do you know that if you've gone on there, I can buy your information, then I can cold call you and spam you? You ever gotten like that? You're like, yeah. That's why when you look up something, you want to look at mattresses, all of a sudden your Facebook is inundated with stuff on mattresses. They're selling your information. You see, I never sell your information. When you go on my secure website that's linked into my MLS, you're searching for homes in a secure way. So I'm going to send you this link to your text or email, however you want to send it to them. And that's the only way you should be looking at homes. You know, those homes, since they're selling information, they put homes on there you can't even buy anymore. Because you fill out the information, they sell it to hundreds of realtors maybe. Anyway, that's what I do, and I thank them. And so once again, I did the set up front, I did the body of the meeting, and then I summarized everything in the end within about 5 minutes, and it's 2:01, I'm 1 minute over.